finally getting this one done after saying I was going to do it down in Florida and stuff, but decided to do it here. I'm filming it on Sunday. It's going up tomorrow, Monday, between 12 and 1 o'clock probably. I got the list here on my phone. I put them in the order. I'll start at 10. Admittedly, I'm not going to remember probably parts of these games. I'm going by memory here. But these are arguably my top 10. If I thought hard enough that maybe some other games I played, maybe I'd move one or two out, but probably not. There's all different kinds of genres in here, so, and you've probably played a good amount of them. There's a few maybe, and maybe like one or two or three, maybe ones that didn't get played by a lot of people. But number 10 is, I've talked about this game a million times, still have my pre-order poster from when it come out, 03. But it's Final Fantasy X-2. 10 is awesome as well, but I did not get far enough in it back in the day. But I pre-ordered this one. It looked cool, and I really liked the vibe of it and shit. You only use the three women, Riku, who's in 10, Yuna, obviously in 10, and Pain, who is new to 10 too. And now Yuna's like a pop star. It's more like, it still has its serious stuff, but it's a little more like, I guess, goofy maybe, than 10. 10 is a very serious tone, with some funny parts in there as well, but this one's more like a little over the top, and you only use the three of them, which I didn't mind. Yuna has, Yuna uses guns in this one. It's over the top. This one has the job system, so you can swap out jobs for all of them. And then they'll have different abilities and stuff, so you can level up things and shit. Combat was fun. Graphically at the time it was really good. You visit a lot of places that, you would recognize from 10. Great soundtrack as always. But also, it starts the game where you can go bounce from place to place, so you can kind of go places where you maybe shouldn't. At first, you might not be high enough level and shit like that. The game starts off with like a fake Yuna doing a song and shit, and it's like good cutscenes and stuff. They look great and shit. I just had a lot of fun with it. I don't know. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I always enjoyed it. And so the soundtrack's killer, man. It's one of my favorite Final Fantasy soundtracks. I kind of like the focus on like just three. Maybe it would be cool if maybe there's like another two or three people you could use, but I kind of like the focus of just that tight-knit group. Like I said, it's hard for me to remember a lot from this stuff, but there's like a hidden ending if you do specific things that Yuna will find Titus or Titus, however he's being called, and shit. I think that's how it starts. Like, she finds a sphere, and it's got like a memory of him and shit, and it's, adventure and whatnot. But that's number 10. Number 9 here is Metal Gear Solid 2. Sons of Liberty was the subtitle for this one. Now, this one at the time was a big deal because people didn't really know. You played as Raiden in this one for like pretty much, I'd say 75% of the game. You start off as Solid Snake in the first part on the tanker, the ship, and then the second part's on like that weird kind of fucking facility or whatever in the ocean. And Snake is helping you, but you don't know who he is. You know who he is, but Raiden doesn't know who he is. At the time, this game looked fucking phenomenal, but it still has the classic stealth and shit, and the fucking bizarre storylines, and you're fighting interesting bosses. What Vamp is in this one. The guy on the roller skates, I can't remember. The president, right? George, whatever. Who is Solidus Snake, right? I don't know if he was the president at the time or he was the president. I can't remember. Ocelot's in there, but he is. And then for the twist, I think, in 2 is like he had Liquid Snake's arm, and then it possessed him, and then in 4 Guns of the Patriots you find out like he allowed that to happen. So it's freaking weird, fucking storylines in these games. I can't remember. There's a woman too, and she was the daughter of like, I think a high level either general or some kind of politician. I can't remember her name, but she thought she could use like electricity, but it really was like a setup that she didn't even think knew about. I forget, she had something like on her that would cause it. I can't remember her name. Cool game, ridiculous fucking storylines and shit. The combat's kind of cool when you get to it. A lot of stealth and shit like that. It looked great. Once again, another great soundtrack. You got Otacons in there too, helping out Snake. And you talk to I forget the other guy you talk to. All the fucking usual players from Metal Gear. I really enjoyed it though. And voice acting's really good as well. Just a cool game for sure. They made Substance. It was Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance for the Xbox, which added in some things, like extra modes or some shit. I forget. That's number 9. Like I said, I'm not gonna be able to go fully in depth with these games because I've not played most of them in a long time. 8 is Shadow of the Colossus. This game was really fucking cool when it came out. It's just pretty much you're running around like this kid and you're trying to like your, I guess, girlfriend, or she's a princess or something. She's like asleep, I think, and you gotta like take down like 12 or 13, whatever it was, Colossus or Colossi, whatever they call them. They're pretty much just you ride around your horse and you gotta find them. They're like these giant fucking golem type things, or I guess they're Colossus, but they, you have to climb up them and shit and stab them and stuff. You gotta hang on. Really fucking cool art style in this game. It had a really good look. I think they re-released it HD at some point. But it was really cool. Like I said, graphically it looked fucking amazing. It was just so intense, like getting up on these things and hanging on, and other games kind of ripped it off. Like Castlevania Lord's Shadow game I love had these titans in it that you'd climb up and shit. Very similar to Shadow of the Colossus, but it was cool. It was really a fun game. I don't think your character talks at any point. And I want to say you die at the end. Like you resurrect her, but you die. I can't remember. And there was like, I think there was a flying one. You had to hop on the wing, so it was a little varied in them. They didn't all look the same. And they'd have fierce attacks where if you got hit once, you're pretty much done. I think you could avoid them, kind of like combat roll out of the way of some stuff. Now, like I said, you had to hang on and shit. Like stuff. That was a lot of them trying to shake you off. It was a really cool game. It was a cool looking game world too, actually. Like I said, I mean, I have not fucking played that game or even really seen much of it in a long time. This whole laptop is shaking from the fucking outside. Really fucking, really cool game. That's number 8. Like I said, I'm sorry. I apologize once again for not really getting crazy in depth into this. Some of the games I'll be able to, but these like first 4, I can remember enough, but I can't remember everything. Number 7 here is Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry is a fucking sick game. It's probably still my favorite in the series. Admittedly, I've only beat the first one, 4, and 5. I played some of 2 and some of 3, but I never completed them. And I played the DMC, the other one, which I enjoyed, but people couldn't stand because Dante looked different. Didn't kind of ruin some of the mythos, but I still overjoyed. I actually really still enjoyed that game quite a bit. Not as much as like the second one's not that great, but the first one's awesome. Very short game, unfortunately, but everybody knows Devil May Cry. It's got Dante. He's a son of what was the half demon, right? Was he a full demon? The hell was his fucking dad's name? I forget his dad's name. Damn it. But graphically, this game looked great, and the combat was I don't know if this game, I think, kind of was the original of this kind of combat. I could be wrong though. But you're like juggling enemies and shit. You're switching between swords and guns. I think Ebony and Ivory are the name of his 2 guns. You can get other guns as well. He's got his swords, juggle people in the air. Pretty cool looking enemies and shit. Cool looking game world as well. What was his name? I can't remember his dad's name. He was a demon who took out, I don't think think he took out Satan. He took out Mungus or some fucking high-ranking demon. I don't know. Virgil's not in this one either. His brother, I think he pops up first and third. I don't know if he's mentioned either. But yeah, like his dad was a demon and his mother was human. And then he overthrew his dad, like overthrew the guy or some shit. Like I said, the combat was just fucking amazing. Like I said, the game was too short in my opinion. The combat was awesome at the time. That game looked fucking great too. It was an awesome new property from Capcom. They came out with a lot of good properties back in that era. They were on a fucking hell of a roll in that era. But, really awesome game. Like I said, the gameplay was fun as shit. And it had replayability because you can get better combos and you get better like scores per level and shit. Like the S ranking, right? A, B ranking and shit. Collect the orbs that you can upgrade your shit as well. Devil May Cry was really cool. Hold on a sec. The cat was trying to get in the room. She was able to get in. Yeah, so that's 7 Devil May Cry. If you've not played any of these games, absolutely check all of them out. Number 6, the first of the survival horror games, Silent Hill 3. I love Silent Hill 3. This probably would not have been on the list if I played Silent Hill 4 on the PS2, but I played it on the Xbox. 3 is great. 3 is a continuation of Silent Hill 1, so you're using Heather, Harry Mason's daughter, in this one. Spoiler alert here, her father does die in this one. So this one plays more on the cult of Silent Hill, and they were raising the god, or whatever the hell it was. But graphically, this game looked fucking amazing. It's Silent Hill, so it's creepy as fucking hell. You know, crazy, weird-looking enemies. Amazing soundtrack. This one introduced the female singer as well, Mary Elizabeth Quinn, or fuck, I can't remember her full name, who would sing on some of the songs, but it was Akira Yamaoka. Does the soundtracks for most of the older Silent Hills and Homecoming. Soundtrack's great. It's just a creepy, dreadful atmosphere that Silent Hill has. Pretty cool story. Not as good as 2. I'll get to 2 here on this list. But, you know, you're just focused on the creepiness, honestly. And the creepy locations. And, you know, it's classic. You gotta find certain items and shit. The combat's not great, and it never was in these games. And I almost wouldn't expect it to be. But, because it's like... The thing that was cool about Silent Hill games that the characters you used were not like Chris Redfield and the people of Resident Evil and shit like that, so it was more realistic. That the controls weren't clunky on purpose, they were just clunky, but at least it made sense that they wouldn't be experts in this shit. And the combat's okay. I mean, you can avoid the enemies and stuff too, but Silent Hill 3 is great. It's not in my top, but it's meh. I want to say, I don't know. I'm not going to rank Silent Hill right now. But it's behind 2 and 4 for me personally. But still phenomenal game, and honestly probably a top 5 graphical showcase for the PS2. Phenomenal game. Number 5, here's another great game that I don't want to say got overlooked, but probably didn't get enough people playing, and they should have. It's a little expensive now. I wouldn't mind owning it again, but it's the Warriors, based on the movie from, when did it come out? Did it come out in the late 70s? About all the gangs, like the Warriors get framed for murdering a guy, and all these other gangs are chasing after him, and they're trying to get back to Brooklyn and kind of clear their name. But this game's cool because the second half of the game, it follows the movie along, and they did get some voice actors from the movie, James Remar being one of them. I can't remember the other people's names. But the first part of the game is you doing like open world type stuff, you know, and you have your little, you know, your gang place that you hang out. I think you play video games in there and stuff. But I do remember stealing car stereos. You had to use the 2 thumbsticks like this to get like the screws out and stuff. There's a lot of cool stuff to do in it. For sure, I really did enjoy that game. And then, like I said, it goes into the movie, like the second half. It's like a prequel and then the movie. But you're basically just doing like stuff and advancing And there was other stuff you could do too. I can't remember everything. I think you might, the combat was actually fun too in this, from what I recall, and it looked really cool as well. I mean, he reviewed well and stuff. It was another Rockstar game. It reviewed well and stuff, but like I said, I can't remember a ton of it. But absolutely check it out if you have not played it, because it's a really, really cool game. Number 4 here, the second survival horror game, and it's the original Fatal Frame. Another game for me. This and Silent Hill are like probably the creepiest franchises for me. Fatal Frame creeped me the fuck out. This game, you have the camera obscura. I think this is based on actual folklore in Japan and stuff. But the camera obscura, like you take pictures of ghosts and you fight the ghosts with your camera. You play I think she's a teenager in this one. I can't remember what her name is, but she actually pops up in 3 as well. Fatal Frame 3. And I think you get something from your sister or some shit, and you go to this creepy kind of mansion. And you take pictures, like occasionally people who died pop up. You gotta take their pictures real quick. You get points. Taking pictures. You can upgrade stuff. You have different kinds of film that are more powerful against the ghosts. Very creepy. Another game that's very, like, dark. It's not well lit. And ghosts will just appear quickly out of nowhere. So it has good jump scares and also good dread, thinking stuff's gonna come up. Graphically, another great looking game. And you're finding items and stuff. It's this typical survival horror stuff. It's not necessarily, once again, the combat's actually cool, but your basic movement is standard survival horror stuff. But the combat with the camera is cool. Just a really cool survival horror game. The Fatal Frame series is just creepy as hell. I would recommend playing them to anybody who's into survival horror stuff if you haven't played them. I really enjoyed it quite a bit. It's just a creepy fucking atmosphere in these games. We're almost like, oh god, I want to play so much, but I'm fucking dreading it, which is always a great sign of a great horror game. You want to continue, but you don't want to continue at the same time. Definitely a really, really cool fucking game. And, now to the top 3, which I'm more well versed in these 3 more than any. Number 3 is GTA Vice City. Still my personal favorite GTA game. There's some fireworks, of course. Still my favorite personal GTA game. This one has Ray Liotta, the late Ray Liotta now, as Tommy Vercetti. He does an awesome job. He doesn't phone it in or anything. Yeah, Philip Seymour Thomas, or Phyllis Thomas, somebody. One guy from Miami Vice, he's in it. And there's other, I think Tom Sizemore is in it. Another guy who passed, what's his name? Dennis Hopper. There's a lot of known actors in this game, actually. The soundtrack is fucking amazing. It's all 80s tunes from every genre. It's awesome. You have metal. You got Run DMC. You got stuff metal like Anthrax. I think Megadeth. It's got a tune in Iron Maiden, I believe. You got rock and roll, Quiet Riot, shit like that. Twisted Sister, I believe. Michael J. Maybe Michael Jackson doesn't have a song there, but you got, like, I think Phil Collins and Genesis and shit like that. Very good range of songs, and the soundtrack's great. The combat's great. This one opened it up from 3 where you can, like, buy businesses and stuff. There's packages to find and all the usual GTA shit you can do. All types of cool cars. It has a very Scarface vibe, and to the point where it's Scarface in Miami Vice pretty much in the game. It takes place, it's Vice City, but it's modeled after Miami. And I think the one giant mansion you get is pretty much the one right out of Scarface. There's a scene from Scarface too early on with the bathroom and the chainsaws in there and stuff. But just a really, really cool game. Graphically at the time it looked great too. It was such an improvement on 3, which was great to see. 3 was awesome, kind of a landmark game, and then Vice City improved upon it. Pretty cool story too. Tommy he goes to jail in New York, and then the mob sends him to Vice City to do shit, and they're like, well, if he fucks up, we'll kill him, or whatever the hell they say. And a drug deal goes wrong in the beginning. William Fincher, I think, is the lawyer who's in it as well. He's funny. Good comedy in this one as well, and shit. I said Ray Liotta was great in this game, like he didn't fuck around. Just a really overall, phenomenal fucking game. I mean, everybody's played Vice City by now. If you've wanted to, you've played it. And I think it's part of that, what they did, those HDs that kind of sucked. That people didn't like. HD versions they made not too long ago. Just great soundtrack, great vibe, great feel, great look. They really pegged the 80s perfectly. A fucking amazing game, absolutely Number 2 here might not be one that it's probably a known enough game, but it's a Castlevania Lament of Innocence. I love this game. I remember I traded a bunch of shit to get credit to buy this fucking game. It's one of the reasons I think I got one of my like 5 or 6 PS2s back then. Awesome game. Now chronologically, this I believe is the first. If you played him in chronological order, this is the first one you play as Leon Belmont. I think his name's Leon in this one. And you're trying to find your. He's not even Dracula yet, but he's kidnapped your like fiance, or I don't know if it's your wife or your fiance. And you go to the castle, and you know it's Castlevania from there in 3D. There's a guy you meet in a little house outside that you do get information and shit from, and you might be able to buy stuff from him. But this game's awesome. It's got another game with an awesome soundtrack. Graphically, it looks great. The combat's great. You get all the Castlevania, the whip. You get all the classic Castlevania stuff. Not Boomerang, the cross. The holy water and all the axe and shit. Cool bosses. There's a lot. You get the classic map, so you know where you're going. There's a lot of little hidden things that you can find to really be able to kick whatever they call him in this one. I forget his name, but it's all super cool. And these games always had a great layout with the map and shit. You also can fight Death if you do everything. You can fight him as well at the end, and he's fucking super hard. He's in the bowels of the castle place. He's fucking huge too. I don't think I ever beat him, but I did beat the main game, and I pretty much 100%ed everything else. I found every little area and got all the little upgrades you can get and shit. Just really fun combat in this game, and I always like these kind of games because the way they're laid out, it's great to explore. And then you bashing the candles and stuff to get hearts or whatever, money as well. Overall, it was a really good-looking game as well. They did make Curse of Darkness as well during that era, which was cool and did its own stuff differently. Actually, it was quite different. You could forge shit and stuff. And that one, but Lament of Innocence, I liked more. And it just flowed nicely as well. And the cool bosses as well, classic kind of Castlevania bosses, but in 3D. Just overall an awesome game. I would absolutely check this game out if you have PS2 and you never played it. You probably get it for under $20. It used to be a very cheap game, but then it kind of, like everything else, seems to be creeping up in value. Anyway, see, like I said, this 23 is going to be 28, 29 minutes probably because I'm going to wax poetic about the next game. Which is probably my favorite game of all time, and it is Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 2 is fucking amazing. Still, in my opinion, the best story in a video game ever. It's fucking phenomenal. It plays on a lot of different themes and shit, and you're James Sunderland. You get the fucking note from your dead wife to tell her to come back to Silent Hill. It was your special place. He goes there, and shit starts going wrong. He's seeing things. Everything's manifesting from his own mind, based on parts of his life. There's gonna be a lot of spoilers here. Pyramid Head is there because, spoiler, he killed his wife. His wife was sick and dying, and he kind of killed her because he didn't want to deal with it anymore and shit. And then a second one appears after you kill Eddie. Now Eddie's in this town. Angela's in this town. Laura's in this town, the kid. Now Eddie and Angela are both seeing their own shit because they've been brought to Silent Hill for their own reasons. And Angela's story in particular is extremely fucking depressing. The enemies, of course, it's classic Silent Hill enemies. Creepy fucking atmosphere. You got Pyramid Head here. Everybody loves Pyramid Head. He's fucking awesome. The abstract daddy, it was like Angela, was pretty much raped and molested by her father and shit. So that enemy is a fucking bed with two people. It's very disturbing looking. It's very hard to describe. And Laura appears, the kid who knew Mary, her wife. Mary, and Maria as well appears and pretty much looks like your wife, but is the complete opposite. And she follows you around for a bit, points in the game, and gets killed repeatedly. It was actually born from a wish, because she was pretty much born from James's wish, like everybody else in this world. They released that in the greatest hits version, the Xbox version had it. It was a couple hour gameplay where you used Maria. But she's there, storyline's great. Voice acting can leave a little bit to be desired, but I still love it. I think it's perfect for this game, honestly, even though a bit of it's cheesy. Very mature themes in this fucking game. Like I said, Angela's is depressing as hell, at the end for her when she's going up the stairs and it's in flames. And James doesn't necessarily see it, but he can feel it. she's like, you see it too. That's how it is for me always. You know, she kind of just walks up and because she pretty much killed her father and shit, and Eddie killed a person at some point as well, and he's there seeing shit, but the kid Laura sees nothing. She's like, there's monsters around. She's like, what the hell are you talking about? Just fucking so well done, the fucking story in this game. Combat, once again, like I was saying, it was clunky. It's classic exploration shit. You can find hidden stuff as well throughout and shit. Good cutscenes for the time. There's multiple endings. There's the leave ending where you leave with Laura. That's like the good one. There's the rebirth one where I think you take your wife's corpse to the island, which I think plays this little island that plays on the cult aspect of the Silent Hill universe. There's the one where you leave with Maria, and she starts coughing, and he's like, oh, you better do something about that. And he's pretty much gonna relive what happened to his wife all over again because she got sick and died. There's the one where he kills himself. And then there's the stupid ones, the UFO one, and the dog one where the dog's controlling everything the whole time. Very fucking creepy game. This game is extremely creepy, at least in my opinion it is. I just love everything about this game. I always have the soundtrack once again. It's fucking amazing. It's just an overall amazing game, in my opinion. If you've never played it, absolutely play it, although parts have been spoiled for you now. And you can do repeat playthroughs, and and the thing that's cool about this game is it doesn't hold your hand with shit. Like, to get the endings, you have to do specific things. Like, early in the game, Angela gives you her knife. He's like, give me that, because she's, you know, maybe thinking about offing herself. And if you look at the knife enough during the game, that and like some other things you might do, not even know you're doing them, will lead you to a specific ending. And the same thing if you look at the note that your wife gave you and shit. Like, if you do these things without even knowing you're doing them, because you wouldn't be, it's not telling you to, you might just be doing it naturally. And it depends on how you treat Maria and stuff like that. Like, if you run away from her and shit, and how the combat is all this stuff, it's kind of cool how they did it. Actually, it's kind of ahead of its time, to be honest with you. This game in general was ahead of its time, I think. Like I said, a lot of mature themes, you know, and people still love this game to this day, and rightfully so. It's amazing. Absolutely play it if you haven't. It's my personal favorite game of all time. It's just, love survival horror. The story is so good. The enemies are so fucking well done. Everything's just so well done in this game, in my opinion. I mean, you could get on the voice acting a little bit, but I don't think it's, I don't know, it didn't bother me enough. And yeah, some, like, of course, with survival horror stuff, these games where you gotta come up with convoluted ways to open doors and shit. But yeah, love it. It's my number one game of all time and my number one PS2 game. But yeah, that is the request for my top 10 PS2 games. Thanks for checking this out.